They always felt like the dudes that came off 87, if it hadn't have been for me, we all would have been A-Tray. The A-Trays, man, they've been a nemesis, bro. We didn't really start beefing hard with the A-Trays until they killed the homegirl, Hazel Eyes. What you have to remember is that 9-0s was Hoovers, so it was not a war between the 9-0s and the Hoovers. It was a war between the 9-0s and the 107s. And that spiraled into where the homeboy SWAT got into it. And when SWAT get into it, it just like blew up. So we started having we see them here, we get out. They see us there, we get out. And one day we met up at Bret Hart and we had a big old melee. And during that melee, the homeboy Burt got shot. When he gets shot, that's when that was our first introduction into gang life. That it just ain't finna be smoking weed, it ain't finna be partying and clubbing with these females. This is finna get serious because they messed him up pretty bad. And that's when I knew right then that I was gonna either represent this right here or I was gonna get out the game. And I decided I was gonna represent this and I was gonna back my homeboy 100%.
So it was strictly 9-0 Hoovers against 107 Hoovers.
Yeah, and everybody else was neutral. A-Tray was Hoover. I'm not for sure, but I don't even think, I mean, I can be corrected on it, but I'm almost 99% positive. It wasn't even on 5'9" at the time. So only thing it was, I think you had a 4-Tray Hoover. You had Lem Deuce, you had 107, you had A-Tray, you had 9-4, you had 7-4. And the 5 Deuces, like I said, they was kind of like more on they hadn't really connected with the Hoover car yet. They was kind of more into what the 5 Deuce Hoover, 5 Deuce Broadway, you know. So the 107s and the 9-0s was going at it. The 11 Deuces favored the 107s. The 9-4s and the 9 Deuces favored the 9-0s. And the 7-4s and the A-Trays was neutral. See, Moo and them, they moved from out of the 90s. And they moved from down there. And they took 9 Deuce Hoover down there, but Moo, he was dominant. He was a hog. This 107 Hoover. And ain't nobody gonna change it.
So Moo was the original 9 Deuce?
Yeah, Moo and them no, actually Moo brother which was Joe. Wait, was it? No, I'm thinking about Durrell Ransom brother, Big Joe Ransom. Big Joe Ransom was original 9 Deuce, and I believe Moo was original 9 Deuce. And when Moo moved down to the hundreds, they started kind of connecting with each other and say, well, man, shoot, man, let's just make this 107 Hoover. The Ransoms was instrumental in 107. When I say very, they probably maybe in the top 5 is probably pulling it together. But I think that was Moo's concept. I really believe that. I knew Frank, man, you know, and Frank was 9 Deuce, and he went down to the hundreds, and you know, when he said something, it meant, you know, Durrell and Moo and all them was road dogs, but I think Durrell and them was already in the hundreds, you know, and the Moo went down there and he introduced Hoover to the hundreds. That's my opinion. You know, you might get a different version, but I believe Frank took the Hoover. He went from 92nd, and he took that over there to them and introduced everybody over there. And maybe the first person he introduced it to could have been Durrell now, and then caught on like wildfire.
So you guys have members from 9-0 Hoover that already had Hoover Crips tatted on?
Yeah, a gang of them. Yeah.
What year did you guys officially drop the term Hoover?
83. Whatever year Too Sweet got killed, I believe that was 1983.
Who were your allies during the time 9-0s and Hoovers went to war?
You know what? We had dudes that was cool, you know, but they really you really didn't know who your ally was until you went to jail, you know, and, you know, a lot of stuff started coming into play later in the game, like the old car and in the neighborhoods and all that. But prior to that, man, we was catching the blues, man. Because also remember that Space Ghost and his family, a lot of people think it was the 9-0s and the Long Beaches, Insane's beefing. That was Space Ghost and his family was beefing with Insane. That wasn't 9-0. That was just a handful of cats out there giving them dudes the blues, man.
Some of them dudes got 9-0 killer tags.
Yeah, but you know it because, you know, I'd be mad too if a family came out there and killed two of my homeboys and shot like 2 or 3 of them. I'd be mad too.
And it was just one family.
It wasn't no hood. That was a family thing. I ain't never been to Long Beach.
Now, 90th Street. This is where when we became 9-0 West Coast. This was where we hooked up at. 9-0, the 9-0s from off Western and the 9-0s from off Hoover. This is where we all clicked up. And Big Red got a spot over here. Okay, we used to be in these apartments right here. Big Red had apartments up in here. You know, man, I'm talking about when we was pushing keys out these motherfuckers, man. You know, this was all our shit. And, oh yeah, I don't want to forget these right here. We was hard in the paint up in these motherfuckers. Now, I don't know the name of them, if they back west or east, south, east or whatever, but this is when these A-Trays moved over in this area, but we wasn't beefing with them at the time. And we wasn't tripping. And the 9-0 Buttlong Hustlers was over here too.
He's part of 9-0?
Yeah.
Before or after?
They came in later. They started claiming, they didn't really want to be like, they didn't really want to like actually join 9-0, and they tried to do their own 9-0 Buttlong Hustler thing, and we shut that shit down and say we all 9-0s. All this shit was 9-0, homie.
Any reputables came out of that?
That's where Baby Donut and them came from. 9-0 Buttlong Hustler. Baby, you heard Baby Donut, right? Yeah, that's where he came from. Oh, look, Cher. They must got something going on. This was 9-0 hard. This used to be 9-1 PBG. All them turned 9-0. That was Spody and Dog, Slow-Mo. It was a crew. They had a crew.
What the PBG stand for?
Playboy Gangsters.
From West LA or different?
Yeah.
What?
Nah, they was hooked up with them. This was 9-1 PBG.
You ever heard of PBH or PBSC?
I'm finna PBH, yeah. And actually, they should have been from 9-0. I'm finna show. Okay, now, this was 9-0. This is where some of the homies from 9-0 grew up at right here. And this was the hard, 92nd. Oh, this was the hard. This was the hard right here. Man, it wasn't number 9-0s on this block. Some of the niggas that got the biggest voices in 9-0 grew up on this street right here, right now. Oh, yeah, I'm finna show you the house right here. This, which house is this house right here? Yeah, this house right here. This is where one of the niggas that got a lot of influence right now grew up at, from 9-0.
We on 92nd and what?
We on 92nd on Vermont, between Vermont and Buttlong. Now, all this right here is when this off-brand shit started coming up in here. You know, and niggas wasn't tripping because niggas was so busy beefing with the Hoovers, we wasn't paying attention to other shit. So other niggas like, oh, y'all cool. When I say other niggas like the A-Trays, oh, we ain't got no beef. We didn't really start beefing hard with the A-Trays until they killed the homegirl, Hazel Eyes.
9-9s branched off 9-0?
9-9s was 9-0s, and then they was 9-9s, and they was just like 99th Street. Then they turned 9-0. Then they got into it with some of the homies for whatever reason. I was in jail. I was in YA, and when I came home, they had their own gang called 9-9 Mafia. All this shit was 9-9 Mafia. I don't even know if are they still around?
Barely.
Yeah, I don't hear nothing about them no more.
99 Mafia came out when I was in jail. They had to come out around 79, 80.
It was a couple big names over there. Tell me if you know him. Bitter Child.
Bitter Child from 99 Mafia?
Joe Jaws.
Joe Jaws was from 90. Bitter Child wasn't from 90. Joe Jaws was from 90. That was my boy.
But is Bitter Child one of the founders of 99 Mafia?
Yeah, he is. He is. So it's Joe Jaws though.
Okay, Joe Jaws.
Yeah.
How about the dude Dusty?
He might have changed his name along the line. I might know him by something different.
So tell me how 99 Mafia came about.
99 Mafia came about kind of like how 87th Street Hustlers was. 99s, they was already like 99th Street boys. And what happened, 90 had become so dominant because they was Hoover. 90 had outgrown 9 Deuce. That's how we ended up being on 92nd and Hoover. We outgrown them. You know, and because we had more, 9 Deuces was older and they was kind of like, you know, the drugs and all that stuff was going on. And 9-0s was kind of like, we was just active and we was like pushing. We was the ones fighting all the beefs and doing all the squabbling and stuff. So we started hanging out on 92nd because Phone lived over there. So we started spreading. We had little homegirls, our homegirls, you know, and they pulling in dudes. And somehow the guys, Joe Jaws and them came over there and they was introduced. And they like, man, we want to be from 90. So they got jumped in. Now they wasn't 99 Mafias then, they was just 99th Street boys. So it was Joe Jaws, it was Bam, it was Ram, it was Paul. It was maybe about 10 of them. I can't remember all of them, but the reputables was Joe Jaws, Bam, Ram, and Paul. Those was the reputables.
So what made them start 99 Mafia?
Well, because a lot of them had, you gotta remember that's right there on Century and 99. So, you know, they had a lot of family from 107. They had a lot of family, you know, from the dudes, and they were struggling with it. When they was 9-0s, we wasn't beefing. You know, when they was 9-0s, we wasn't beefing. So they, it was easy to be from 9-0 in. But when the beef broke out, you had to struggle with the sides. So what the 99s tried to do is come with 99 and try to be neutral with 90 and tried to be neutral with 107 and say, well, we just gonna be 99 Mafia. But now Phone and wasn't having that. They're like, oh, well, you either 9 or you nothing. So they're like, well, you know, well, man, and it didn't really like get like real like beefy. I never really considered them as a threat, to tell the truth, man. You know, I liked them, they was cool. You know, I know some incidents done happened between us, but it never really turned out no all-out war with them. It wasn't nothing to war with.
So they basically sided with Hoover because they had family from there.
Well, because of that and because they felt like that Phone them kind of like tried to back them against the wall, you know, and didn't want to give them a choice. You know, they just wanted to be cool with everybody. They wanted to be neutral, but Phone them, now you ain't gonna be from over here and then go claim something else and be neutral. You know, you an enemy too.
When we became 90 West Coast, this was where we hooked up at. 90, the 90s from off Western and the 90s from off Hoover, this is where we all clicked up.
What's behind the name West Coast 90s?
West Coast 90s, what happened was when Big Too Sweet got killed, the 90s gangsters was already kind of like struggling because the Hoovers was rushing them. They wasn't giving them a chance to say. If they ask you where you from, you know, it wasn't I'm from 90 gangster. As soon as you say I'm from 90, the Hoovers was rushing you. So it wasn't no gangster, it wasn't no 90 Hoover. It was a 90 was a 90. So some of the 90 Hoovers was in jail and some of the 90s was in 90 gangsters was in jail. They started kind of communicating like, homie, we all 90. And at that time, Big Too Sweet got killed. So Big Too Sweet get killed, you know, I got a bad taste in my mouth for Hoover now. I'm like, I ain't claiming Hoover no more. I don't want to hear nothing about no Hoover no more. So you had Q-Ball from 8-9 lived in the hood. You had Johnny Hotlink from 8-9 lived in the hood. And you had Gangsta John from 8-9 lived in the hood. And they had love for us. And we had love for them. So we started kind of talking to them about this East Coast, West Coast thing. The West Coast would be on the west side, the East Coast would be on the east side. And crazy thing, we was even talking about the 87th Street, even being 87th Street West Coast, because we always had a hardcore crew over there, you know. But anyway, we all came together, the 9-0 gangsters and 9-0 Hoovers, and we said, you know what? We felt like it was in the best interest if they stopped claiming gangster and we stopped claiming Hoover and we just become West Coast, you know. And we were supposed to be allies up with the East Coasters real tough. You know, they was gonna be on the East Coast. We was gonna try to build the West Coast, and they was gonna continue to build, because you know they already had 8'9", 6'9", 6'8", 6'6", 6 dudes, 7'6", you know, all this. So we said, okay, well, we finna try to build on the West Coast. That's where that came from, because we didn't want to claim nothing that had any association with a Hoover or a gangster.
This was the spot right here, man. This is where everybody hung out at.
A lot of these rest in peace due to the Hoovers or just in general?
Nah, man, a lot of homeboys, like a lot of the homies resting in pieces due to the A-Trays. A lot of the A-Trays was coming over here thumping. And that's because, you know, the homeboy Screws had a brother named Rock, and he was from A-Tray. That shit was crazy. Scrooge was from 9-0, Junior was from 107, and Rock was from A-Tray. Then he had a brother named Lil Rock. You know, I think Big Rock got killed. I think the homies called him slipping because of what happened, you know, to Lil Black, somebody from Grape Street got killed on one of them back streets right there, what I just left off of. And you know, the A-Trays, man, they've been a nemesis, bro. The A-Trays been a nemesis, man. And you know what's crazy? I could take you in the areas where I grew up with them too, cause I fuck with them. I live right there on 80-something Vermont. You see where that is? Manchester, the next street, right there. That's all A-Tray.